It is going to be Bandit Boy in the top lane, KCBO in the jungle, Raid Boss is mid, aptly in the mid lane, Icy Ice Baby in the ADC role, and then Fire Song at support.
And Orbital, I believe we were told, keep an eye out on KCBO in the jungle. Very aggressive, proactive player, and often sort of the catalyst of action for this team. And I love it when that is the jungler, because the jungler is going to be everywhere on the map, and that means we can hope to see action everywhere on the map.
I mean, we say we hope, but we're not sure because the enemy team is going to be trying their best to shut down all that action. Let's go ahead and take a look at BU Sword. It is NECC. Of course, in the top side, I didn't know they played League of Legends as well, but, you know, we'll leave it at that. James Bond Meow in the jungle role, and then Neon Diamond in the mid, Joy Joeyson at bot lane ADC, and then 4x Supernova at support.
Linus Tech Tips fan, Orbital. Unfortunately, it's not Linus Tech Tips himself, just a fan, though. As far as I know, League is probably one of the least intensive PC games, if I recall correctly. That said, let's talk about James Bond Meow for a second, because James Bond Meow, we were talking about the other side's jungler, KCBO. Well, for Bradley University Sword, James Bond Meow just recently hit Grandmasters. Peaked at that, did drop down to Masters, so currently sitting at Masters. But if we're talking jungles, some jungle v jungle action tonight should be spicy.
I know, and I mean, even League of Legends itself is starting to trend maybe towards a little bit of jungle love. I mean, RMC, a jungler that we have not seen in ages, got some awesome adjustments, at least maybe in a hopeful chance of renewal. I believe Rek'Sai was one of the big targets for, say, BU Sword on the blue side and NECC on the red. Let's get into it. Game number 1.
On to the Rift Orbital. It's actually quite interesting because the composition BU Sword has, you almost never see these champions in conjunction together. But I kind of want to talk about level 1s, even though they're not going to invade. It's actually not a bad level 1, especially if Twisted Fate starts with pick a card. Now, if you do start that, you know, a little bit less poke in lane, but still a lot more control, and I think that is still something that we see very, very frequently. And with the gold card, you know, with the Volibear, you can actually kind of ambush and catch out almost anybody from Indiana Tech. Even Ornn, this early on, isn't actually that tanky. So I'd have loved to see an invade come through from them, but 5 point standard start for now.
It's another side of the I would say the Ari and Viego roaming, right? This combination that always wants to catch someone. Joey is gonna say, maybe we could do the same. You know, if you want to hit level 3, I got a gold card for you. It's a pretty easy gank. It's gonna be nice to influence. It is gonna be, I think, on the side of Fire Song and Icy Ice Baby to kind of figure out exactly how they want to manage, because that Bard is also going to want to have a lot of early game influence if you're allowed to roam, if you're allowed to gather charms, or a little bit of action around, and all the little notes around the Rift, if you will.
I just realized, bro, that bot lane from Indiana Tech. It's a Song of Fire and Ice Ice, baby.
Oh no, you had to say it. I didn't want to. Now it's stuck in my head. RC, no. I was trying to avoid it so long. Awesome. Dude, listen, I'm at that point where any song is gonna get stuck in my head, and you just had to do it to me, man. I'm mad now.
That's an awesome duo. I hope their in-game synergy is as good as their in-name synergy, because that is absolutely awesome. For now, though, Supernova just kind of poking out. Not a lot of response coming through just yet from Fire Song. And these early levels, because Icy Ice Baby went for the lethal tempo instead of the Hail of Blades, I'm not expecting them to get that big a lead in the early game. I think it's actually going to be quite even. And if anything, I'm waiting for junglers to get down here and really influence this bot lane.
You were talking about it, right? The junglers hoping to have some sort of touch on this bot side, and the fact that they're full clearing leads it to a possible level 3, right? Which also means Linus Tech Tips on the top side is allowed to do what Volibear likes to do on the top side against tanks, against the likes of Bandit Boy. You do want to try and force them out. You know the enemy junglers are going to be top side, so why not?
Yeah, and that top side, a lot of it is about Bandit Boy kind of dodging out a little bit, making sure he doesn't get struck by that lightning that's being called down. If you do, you can't really fight off the Volibear, because between the shield and everything, you're gonna lose those trades. And we're seeing Linus Tech fans take great advantage of that. Raid Boss and Yan Diamond trading actually pretty heavily in the mid lane already. Half health, the junglers down bot.
And keep in mind, James Bond Meow was actually the first one in, so instead of trying to gank, I like this call. Hey, wrap around a little bit further. I can even keep eyes on the enemy jungler if we so wish. In comes James Bond. This is as clear cut as it can be. Are you going to get a flash? No, you're not. Good
nice.
cleanse on point by Icy Ice Baby, and saves your flash. Really well done from Indiana Tech.
Yeah, and honestly, even if you flashed, I don't think you survive. But now KCBO here as well.
good call out, and now you might get Joey. Joey has the gold card ready to go. Honestly, very clean engage and disengage from both teams, resulting in no one really dying. I think there was a catch, though. That's the chance. A final pierce with that Q is going to find it, and James Bond Meow, this 007, makes it known.
Really good patience from BU Sword and how they played it, and good fancy feet. KCBO could not land a single one of those sonic blows, could not actually find the engage. Now Raid Boss has to be careful. Flash is available, should be safe.
Yeah, that's just going to be a simple one. You were hoping the claw wasn't there, but good pressure by James Bond Meow in all lanes right now.
Yeah, and that's already a win. Same thing as the bot lane overall. Even if they didn't get first blood onto James Bond Meow there, the fact they pushed Icy Ice Baby and Fire Song back was already a win for Joeyson and Supernova as well. Not to mention the that could have come out from that bot lane under turret. So James Bond Meow winning the jungle battle for now, getting the early pressure, and that's doubly surprising when you consider that's a Viego into a Lee Sin, and Lee Sin is probably the premier early game jungler.
Yeah, it was a weird little touch. That's why I was also quite confused with how James Bond was able to effectively clear out and get there. What was it? Almost 30 seconds ahead of time. I was like, man, this is kind of interesting. So well timed, and now you get to go ahead, clear out your jungle once again, and look towards either those grubs or that dragon. Right now, though, KCBO is saying I'm here a little bit earlier. Topside hasn't been touched, so let's go ahead and do it. No knockup to catch Linus Tech Tips out, but that is going to be a Q to land. No flash. Actually, a ghost already used. I forgot no flash. Linus Tech Tips is going to survive, albeit very, very unhealthy.
Yeah, now Raid Boss has to be careful about moving out of that mid lane. Already used the teleport, still at half health. And yeah, actually, I think they could fight this if they wanted, but instead they're content on the side of Sword. Just deny the one Void Grub for now. Maybe try and get the control over the lanes. Focus at Dragon. Instead, we see this very frequently where teams will trade Grubs and Dragon.
This time it doesn't even, like you said, doesn't really feel like you're fully giving it up, right? This does feel more, even though they didn't want to fight, it's the, okay, you're going to have to fight for all 3 grubs in the future if you actually want to make them useful for Indiana Tech. Instead, I do expect to see some control here with the warding from BU Sword. As you said, that dragon is up. It's a mountain dragon, not exactly the most impactful, but it's a nice one to have, you know, come mid to late game. So maybe we go ahead and see those wards, but take a look. Icy Ice Baby and Fire Song already able to get deep wards in, able to spot out if James Bond Meow is going to be around. I like what Indiana Tech are doing.
Yeah, and KCBO responding really quickly as well after that sort of upside skirmish, taking the Void Grubs. KCBO actually able to reset and get down to Dragon very quickly and in time to stop James Bond Meow from being able to sneak this. Bigger question though is the lane states that are coming through. Charmlands.
Oh, and that's so easy. Remember, not too much. You do burn the flash, but Raid Boss doesn't actually have too much available. Instead, the rest of the team's coming in. And look at this collapse. I wasn't even watching the minimap. I should have, because Fire Song is on Bard, comes around with the Q, and it's an easy snag of the enemy jungler. I was gonna say Raid Boss wouldn't be around for the dragon, but who needs that when you kill the enemy jungler? Linus Tech Tips, of course, getting in on the top side, getting a little bit of value, but I mean, this is going to be a turnaround. Bandit Boy saying, you're out of position, you're caught, but the Thunder Lord comes in, locking him down. The lightning might be enough, but is that a final strike? No, Bandit Boy robs Linus Tech Tips of a kill. I mean, that's what you get for overextending, but man, was that a little bit dicey.
I love the way the dying animation of Volibear there for Tech Tips, man. You can see him holding out his arm, knowing it was so close. If he had only jumped a little bit further away from the wall, but in that clutch moment, the CC chain from the well-known mage, tank, warrior, assassin, bruiser, whatever you want to call it, was able to CC lock Tech Tips long enough. And BU Sword, they were winning the early game orbital. They were winning in every single lane, and suddenly, one gank, one screw-up, and Indiana Tech are right back, pretty much dead even.
Well, they're going to try and break it into a half car lead, I would say, because right now, Bandit Boy doesn't have any flash, doesn't have any teleport, and I mean, that should be handed over to James Bond Meow. Another Q should be up in time. There it is, a little bit of a stab, a finish. And James Bond Meow is now 2-1-0, and we did talk about the fact that this Viego is going to be very, very important to keep level come this mid to late.
Yeah, really well played from BU Sword, giving the kills to the right person, because we mentioned before that, hey, Viego normally is sort of a snowball champion, needs setup to start that reset going. But we are far ahead enough, you can kind of manufacture your own resets with just sheer damage to come through. KCBO answering that topside gank with an invade, but BU Sword were aware of it. Ping's coming out, and James Bond Meow is also taking topside. We're getting a bit of a vertical split.
But take a look at who's being able to help with this vertical split, right? It is going to be Raid Boss to run in, and now you go ahead and get back, and yes, you lose out a bit in that CS manner. I think you are going to lose maybe 4 or 5, but it does put you also in a precarious position. Neon Diamond, who has not been allowed to really do RE things, I would say be able to roam out, you know, influence the rest of the lanes with your charms and with your rushes. Kind of upset, going ahead, trying to get some poke down. But of course, with Raid Boss invading on the bot side, it does mean Dragon will go the way of Indiana Tech. Good route to come out here. Raid Boss says, not today, you'll miss everything. You will not get that kill. Final snipe for downtown. Supernova makes it very, very worth.
ACBO able to snag Dragon in return, so still a trade 1-for-1. But Orbital, I want to go back to a statement you made about how Nyan has not been allowed to do RE things. And that's kind of true, because I'll tell you right now, RE should not be solo killing Lissandra at all. Lissandra should always be able to get out. Granted, okay, not a solo kill, because it was Supernova who did manage to pick that one up. But still, Neon Diamond's doing a great job, and let's not forget, Raid Boss is the RE player.
Such a real factor right now, though, on the top side. Bandit Boy still being a Bandit Lord, being an annoying factor, but Linus is a little bit stronger now, and he is going to get back up. In comes James Bond, the man on the screen, takes another. Linus Tech Tips is able to grab that one for themselves, but love on the top side for BU Sword.
Yeah, and Linus Tech Tips fan really learning from the last time they fought on the top side. Notice the distance he covered with that jump this time. Made sure he wasn't near a wall. ACBO trying to look for a steal.
I mean, what more are you going to do except be an annoyance? Right now, one of those shots has already landed, and that's a problem. You get the kick, but your health bar is already low. Raid Boss is going to try and run interference here, but how much more are you going to get? That is going to be trying to solo out, but Raid Boss gets one. It's still a trade of 1-for-1. One last Kevin is alive, and that's going to be the problem. The damage is going to be too much. Raid Boss says sit down. That's going to be a flash out of Fire Song's ult. Neon Diamond has to run for the hills. Messy grub fight for honestly something that I don't think was going to give that much. Fire Song still wanting. Charm under the tower. Fire Song might be in trouble. 2 tower shots is more than enough, but the final Q is going to do enough damage. Are they going to walk away from each other? They're so low. Neon Diamond just needs a rotation. Ignite will finish off the kill. Maybe? Oh my god, it's on 1. Neon Diamond got a little bit extra thanks to the triumph and is going to survive.
Oh man, diamonds are forged under pressure, Orbital, and we just watched one being made. Beautiful play from the Ahri, short down to just fractions of health, but made it worth. And Fire Song, I think, getting a little bit too hypey. You won the fight. Take the 2-for-1 and back off. And for BU Sword, I also want to highlight this, Orbital. There's a difference in focus between the two teams. BU Sword made the call, we want these Void Grubs. If they had all turned together, they might have been able to even up that fight, but they were focused on getting the grubs. So despite going 1-for-2 in the initial fight, even if it ended there, I think BU Sword was okay with trading that for the extra grub.
I would also like to point out Neon Diamond does not actually have any sort of triumph stacks. That was actually just innate healing. I keep forgetting that Ahri has innate healing whenever you get a kill nowadays. My brain does not work that well. Instead, it is going to be those potions in the back pocket to try and level that 201 advantage a little bit further. Meanwhile, on the top side, Bandit Boy getting chunked out, but bot side is where it's at. James Bond has been getting a little bit too much freedom. So KCBO and Fire Song are going to try and get these kills. Supernova punted back, but a flash out. Still lands the chain of corruption, though, as Icy Ice Baby says, Joey Joseph, you're in trouble. Mid lane, we got a solo kill, but that doesn't matter because in this jungle side, Indiana Tech are trying to run. Now comes the TP in, but the kill comes through. James Bond says, I got that kill. Now how much more can we get? The Bard Q is going to land. No execution comes through, though, and KCBO gets the revenge kill. It's a 1-for-2 overall on the map. Another gold card will slow them down, but KCBO still has the damage. A flash in with the Ring of Frost seals the deal as Raid Boss. It's turning into a Raid Boss. Joey Sin watches as your teammate TP's in, but I mean, it's way too late. Neon Diamond, maybe you can clean up here. Diamond in the rough. Q lands, but Icy Ice Baby is still fine, and they're going to run interference. Indiana Tech getting away with only losing 1. Very nicely done.
The beautiful kites under turret as well, Orbital, kind of punishing BU Sword. Nowhere was safe for them, and a lot of that kicked off from the mid lane. The fact that Raid Boss found the solo kill onto Nyan, that's what we expect from the Lissandra Ahri matchup, and because of that, they were able to move first. Neon Diamond could not respond. Bandit Boy in a bit of trouble. Remember, Wallbear can turn off turrets, so your turret is not safe.
That's why we want to see these kind of shorter engages out of Linus Tech Tips. It's been understood that, hey, these long drawn-out engages actually benefits Bandit Boy. That's why we saw 2 deaths before. For right now, though, is going to be a little bit of a different pace. Take a look. You did talk about the AP Volibear build that we may or may not see. Now it's straight up into that tank build because in the mid lane is where all the action is. Again, it is going to be the Glacial Tomb to hold. Raid Boss is still alive though. Drew enough time, and guess what? They get another kill right now. Indiana Tech are showing their technical prowess with these re-engages, with these coverages, the reaction ganks as it seals away to Indiana Tech getting out of control right now.
And that pre-game yoga session really kicking in for Indiana right now. They've warmed up really, really well. And we were saying that James Bond Meow had such a good early game. He was outpacing KCBO, and KCBO was like, enough. Now I show you what the Lee Sin can do. KCBO has been moving faster ahead of James Bond Meow in a lot of these rotations. And Raid Boss as well, starting to come online since he's picked up the Malignants. He's been winning this matchup. And for BU Sword, it feels like you really need to play around that ultimate or else you're going to suffer for it. KCBO, can he cash over?
Oh, it's still get out of jail free, right? Like those Qs, those W, it's so frustrating to watch. KCBO is putting on a solid class in how to do this. Alliance Tech Tips, though, saying they want the same. We've been watching this top side every so often, but it seems Bandit Boy is starting to get tanky enough. You can see the Bramble Vest as well as that Bombing Cinders in hand, and when your team's taken everything else on the map, you don't really have to be feared, right? Bandit Boy, more than happy to watch this Infernal cry down from the skies.
And that's one of the problems for Volibear, unfortunately, is that he's kind of decide, do you build damage or do you build health? And if you build health and become a tank, it's very hard for you to 1v1 people at that point. You're seeing how much mana it's taking to kind of cut through and actually damage the Ornn. And the Bramble Vest you mentioned as well, Orville. It's important because when you don't build AP, Volibear is roughly about 50-50 damage between physical and magic. And the healing and regeneration is actually a big part of his kit. So having that previous wounds plus the ability to cut a more significant portion of this Volibear damage when he has to on-hit so much is doing wonders for Ornn and just surviving the lane. And remember, Ornn doesn't need to win a lane, he just needs to survive.
And only losing 2, honestly, is not that bad in the grand scheme of things. For right now, though, it is going to be a full-on invasion from Indiana Tech. They are invading into this top side of BU Sword's jungle, and I mean, you even watch, right? James Bond literally just had to watch as jungle was invaded, and Linus Tech Tip fans did not get the heads up. You are now getting ganked by not 1, not 2, not 3. It is 4 enemies on the top side. We talked about the tankiness, and it's all just HP. There's no damage behind it. Raid Boss on a rampage.
To be fair, the Linus Tech Tips there, I do think that he tanked an inordinate amount of time. The problem was his team is not ready to respond. You saw how BU Sword was behind the beat on that one, trying to move up. And now, Indiana Tech not only find the kill orbital, they are hit. They'll get the turret damage top side. They got poked down bot side as well. And I am actually a little bit worried for BU Sword. That doesn't feel like your jungle anymore.
It doesn't, and that really bleeds into Indiana Tech's entire gameplay, right? This composition that later on does want to ball up just siege towers, team fight to death. It's becoming a more noticeable fact that BU Sword cannot deny, right? Indiana Tech right now, 4-1-5 on the main engager for the team, I think. You know, you had the Lysandra just being a menace, and then KCBO able to grab any of the stragglers at 5-1-4. Even on the bot side, Icy Ice Baby has been able to collect so much free farm, been able to fire up. You're looking at 151 CS, already a Blade of the Rune King in pocket, and then you're coming back to Firesong, who's 1-3-5, a pretty healthy support as well.
Yeah, and if we think about how the laning phase went, Joeyson and Supernova won that bot lane with the help of James Bond Meow initially. So the fact that Icy Ice Baby has actually caught up is massive. Supernova might be in a spot of bother, able to just get away, but with the Lee Sin, the dive is always a possibility.
Oh, and on the bot side, you don't even have to have a dive because you burn the flash side of James Bond. Yeah, you're just trying to go in your own jungle. There's nothing available. We talked about the pick potential from BU Sword, but it's actually Indiana Tech that have it.
Yeah, the moment that mid lane outer turret went down, Orbital, like we kind of mentioned with the top side, similar situation, that's not your jungle anymore. You don't get to just wander about in there. Linus Tech Defense. Good trades, but oh, have they caught Fire Song?
I think the chase is going to be enough. Yeah, this is Neon Diamond finally able to do cat things, the RA things, get a kill for himself.
Okay, now the question is, what else can Neon Diamond find with this? It's good that he's getting kills, but they're having problems getting important kills that lead to actual objectives right now. For example, the fact that bot lane outer turret just went down. Like, you caught Fire Song, doesn't matter. Icy Ice Baby won't trade that turret back, and that's why we're seeing the gold lead slowly grow in favor for Indiana Tech. It's minor for now, but if you keep this up, Orbital, all that pressure will start to come to fruition in the mid-game around objective.
It feels like a water dam being built up right now. Indiana Tech, all this pressure is being held back by, I almost want to say, a guarantee of safety. They don't want to overguess. They don't want to make a mistake, and they don't have to do anything expressive. They don't have to go crazy just yet. As you said, wait towards that mid-game. Wait towards maybe the latter half of mid-game. You had 2 dragons to your name. You have about a 3k lead right now. Dragons coming up. You can put yourself on soul point. It's infernal as well. Like, literally everything is leaning into, if you don't make a mistake, Indiana Tech is fine. And that's why we're seeing BU Sword feel like they have to force something when they have very little options. You take a look, they can't even ward up their own jungle, so it's so scary looking for these options. And it leads to things like this. This is a problem that will occur. Neon Diamond runs into Icy Ice Baby and just dies.
Yeah, and I'd argue that Neon Diamond probably one of the second most fed member on this team, and still wasn't able to find the kill onto an AD carry. Like, that is what you're supposed to do as a mage. Topside, James Bond Meow with the Kraken Slayer. Still doesn't really cut through the orb. This is, yeah, it's looking dire, Orbital, right now for BU Sword. I know the gold lead's not that far apart, but when we watch the interactions with how these champions are matching up, it's kind of not favorable. And I feel like BU Sword, they're going to fall back on catching with the burst damage they have from this Ahri, from this Viego, and perhaps some vision control and some global pressure from this Twisted Fate, but you're not going to win a straight up team fight.
No, they got to concede a little bit more than that. And I mean, it feels, you can even see their pressure. They had already identified that earlier on, which led to James Bond on the top side. Now, in response to that top side fight, it's a TP and then some from Bandit Boy and Fireslang. They drew the TP out of Neon Diamond, which means it won't be up for a potential Baron if his own wish. But Neon Diamond said, hey, I'm not here just for show. I'm here to try and fight. And that might be their undoing. In comes that claw. And then the old Glacial Prison seals the deal. 2 dead on the top side. Indiana Tech, they grab just freebies, it feels like, and they can turn if they wish towards Baron.
And keep in mind, BU Sword was supposed to be the more mobile team, the one with more global pressure, but Indiana Tech's just moving really well, and now the collapse into the mid lane onto Joey Sin. Destiny is available. Will he have enough time to actually use it? Nope.
You ran into Chain of Corruption. Like, here's the thing. BU Sword are doing everything they possibly can. Like, with the champions available to them, they are trying their hardest to make something happen. It's just getting revolved. This is not a time of, hey, we're just making a mistake. It's, you made a few mistakes in the early game, and now you're desperately trying to catch up. The right call, try and get farm into Joey's and try and catch that top side. These are technically right calls. Even this attempt at a Baron negation will be an attempt, but it's still going to be Raid Boss right in front. It's still going to be the bully moment. Take a look at that. They do peel them off of Baron because that Bard ult lands, and now the kick in. Linus Tech Tip is going to try and run them down, but remember, they're all just AP. Neon Diamond off the far side is able to land the charm. How much can you get? We talked about this Fed Ahri, and you are able to get 2, but you lose the rest of the members, and now you are going to fall. You did deny the Baron, but at what cost?
I'm trying to do the math in my head, Orbital. Ultimately, a 4 for 2, not the worst, and you stop the Baron. The gold has kind of just gone back to that 3k mark we were talking about. I think if you're a BU Sword, you take this particular trade and say, fine, so be it. Not the worst case situation. However, Indiana Tech, the problem is they still want that fight, and they can just go right back to Baron, and we get to see a round 2. And we've said this before, I don't know if BU Sword can win up straight up fight. So if anything, BU Sword, you don't have to vision. You need to get the vision control. You need to find the pick, and you need to not let this sort of fight at Baron keep repeating itself.
I mean, we can say that all we want, but maybe they don't really have an option, right? Like, there's only so many times you can dictate the pace when you're on your own side just hunting for something. And honestly, in about 2.5 minutes will be that extra dragon coming up here, that one that could put Indiana Tech into pretty much game-winning scenario. And it's why BU Sword are the only contestable objective is going to be this Baron for a time. I'm so scared of what's going to happen, because take a look at the wards, right? Once again, slight contest into their own jungle side. It is Indiana Tech that are just like, yo, Firesong, do your thing, clear out the wards. We're more than happy. Neon Diamond, no vision, no help. All the danger in the world. It's an easily glacial prison. Almost a solo kill by Raid Boss, literally just there to have a little bit of a fangirl moment. That was all KCBO needed to do.
I mean, Raid Boss is 5-2 and 10. KCBO was 9-1 and 6, right? Those are 2 of the most fed members on the side of Indiana Tech. And unfortunately, Ari kind of squishy. Joeyson has to be really careful. Chain of Corruption's just shy.
I mean, at this point, Icy Ice Baby literally hunting for fish, right? You don't even worry about losing that ult, even though you didn't get anything. Over the wall, a Bandit Boy goes, though. I mean, you're tanky enough. I honestly don't think they're going to chase.
Yeah, no, and you're just buying time. Exactly. So, I think Bandit Boy understood the assignment, which is just distract everybody best you can. No vision down from BU Sword. I don't think they know it's being done right now. And frankly, Orbital, even if they did, I'm not sure what they could do. So I'm okay with them trying to find Bandit Boy. But we've seen this song and dance before. James, Meow, and Dynasective Bands, they just don't have what it takes to kill an Ornn from 100 to 0, especially when he's actually near a turret this time.
And the scary part as well, Bandit Boy just hit level 14. Guess what that means? Guess what happens now to that gold lead that we can only assume is sitting at a 5k mark? It's going to get worse. We're going to see an expansive setup. Those gold numbers are soon to be a lie because Bandit Boy is now going to start upgrading all of the items, and those 2k leads over your lane opponent, the 3k leads that we're seeing in some areas, they're only going to get larger.
Yeah, it's roughly about 1,000 gold worth of stats for each Masterwork upgrade coming through. So already one completed onto Bandit Boy himself, and that's makes it closer to a 6k gold lead than that 5k that we're seeing at your top of the screen there. I like that BU Sword is now setting up for this dragon. On the tank.
Yeah, the tank is going to be killed, but the rest of the team isn't even there. So Bandit Boy is still... I'm not sure if that was running interference or not, because you can take a look. It's a two-pronged attack on the top and mid. A good sacrifice by Indiana Tech, though, saying, we got Baron. Why are we fighting for a singular dragon, even though it's Infernal? We're just going to take as many extra towers as we have, the freestanding gold that we have not been able to finish, and we're going to break your base.
Yeah, I actually really like this from the side of BU Sword, because a lot of times teams, they're dancing around the dragon. Sure, it is soul, so it would have been worth it if Indiana Tech actually wanted to go for that. But yeah, if not, just kind of punish BU Sword a little bit, go in, take everything you can. Icy Ice Baby rooted up, but not enough members, and just the threat of KCBO on that side enough to deter BU Sword. BU Sword for me actually committing in on that pick.
Yeah, I gotta agree. This is something that I think BU Sword were even worried about, right? They were saying, hey, the coordination that comes out of Indiana Tech is something to actually be very respected. So this idea of trying to catch some of these enemies on the backside just feels like a consolation prize. Take a look at how much they're investing. I wouldn't say too much investing, but at least trying to get a flash over the wall by Supernova just to try and ensure a second kill comes down. But the base has already been broken, right? This danger has already been set forth. BU Sword, they get 2. Now they have to contend with an open inhibitor on the top side.
Yeah, but that's a really good response from BU Sword. They're able to find some of those kills, slow things down as well. Baron buff are going to run out shortly here for Indiana Tech. So BU Sword able to punch back a little bit. And you can kind of see the game plan from BU Sword, right? We said when you're kind of this far behind, when you can't team fight, try and find the isolated picks, find the single targets. And the burst damage is significant. Only Bandit Boy is tanky enough to survive a couple of seconds. Even KCBO with that Sundered Sky absolutely melted when BU Sword could actually power in and focus on that one target.
Oh. Welcome to One Shot City, where a Lissandra that we said in an even matchup is just gonna kind of keep everyone in control. Nah, this is this is death and destruction Lissandra right now. I
mean, to be fair, that was a fasting Senna who's very, very squishy against a Lissandra. But we also did see that happen to Nyan Diamond in that top side earlier. So
oh no.
Very, very scary. Yeah, Nyan has to be careful. That Frozen Tomb is the nightmare right now of this Ari. You can't run away from it, and with Icy Ice Baby right there, there's a lot of follow-up damage.
I mean, because you can't even run away from it. It's point and click, bro. It's point and click. You can't run from that stuff. That now leaves the bot lane open, and that'll be both the side lanes available for punishment while they leave Bandit Boy in the mid lane to push. This is a two-pronged attack while there's no other objectives on. KCBO hopping over the wall to try and get a little bit more value in. Exhaust goes down, but they're just right out. They burned a Summoner Spell for what? A quarter HP. That's nothing. 4v1 right now. 4 on the bot side, 1 in mid, and that's gonna be a chance. BU Sword putting on one less desperate act, but a nice stall out. However, that might be the dangerous part. Icy Ice Baby goes ahead and has cold ice in the veins. The slaughter of the Varus is abound. Unkillable in the bottom lane, and now unstoppable in the bottom lane. It is destruction all around as it's an ace for Indiana Tech.
ICI's baby peeling off for now, and Nyan Diamond is back up. Nyan Diamond, of course, the most dangerous Fed member of BU Sword, dueling out and winning against KCBO.
Oh, flashing away from that Q. The piercing arrow would have been their doom, but it is all doom and gloom right now for game number 1. Indiana Tech, in a pretty high kill game, is going to go ahead and take their victory. Yes, 1 death on ICI's baby, but it's still not going to be enough to save this base. Well played. Game 1 goes the way of Indiana Tech, and we'll see what game 2 has to offer.
Huge props to Indiana Tech in this game 1 Orbital. How cleanly they played their composition.
It is, but let's get into game number 2. Indiana Tech 1 away from securing their 2nd series of victory. BU Sword hoping to push to a game number 3. We're going to get those battle lines drawn once again. RMC, no chance of an invade. This time, though, because I really don't think you want to invade ever with either of these compositions.
Yeah, their level 1s aren't great. Orbital. I'm not sure you're going to be able to secure any kills here. However, let's talk a little bit about how we think the early game will go. I will say, for both junglers, I do not want to see them top. KCBO will really struggle to do anything with this Poppy. We already talked about how Poppy basically counters a lot of what Lee Sin wants to do. The steadfast presence stops the engage. They're tanky enough to survive the initial burst, and Malphite's not going to help there. So I think both junglers are aware of this, and they're probably going to see the focus on the bot side. KCBO looking for kills down there, and for James Bond Meow, like I said before, my memory of Warwick was more of a farm till 6, but I do think James Bond Meow needs to cover the bot lane at least to make sure that it doesn't become a 3v2 situation.
All quiet on the Western Front here as Linus Tech Tips fan says, I'm not a fan of that shard. That's annoying as heck. Backing away, and for Bandit Boy, it's a whole thing once again. I know we said we didn't want kills. At the same time, Linus Tech Tips fan being like, yo, I'm gonna straight up try and proxy farm was another thing that I was very surprised about. So we'll see how this turns out. Once again, though, junglers on the top side. A little bit of help over to James Bond. A little bit of a nice leash. Identification being made of, hey, things might get a little bit interesting after these full clears.
I love watching Supernova and Firesong go at it. They did it last game too with the Sen and the Bard. They're the ones getting really aggressive in early levels. Look at all the trade damage coming out. And this time, Joe Joyson with the volley, I think is having a bit more of an easy time trying to get that poke down while still controlling the wave.
Just a little piece of heaven there as we are going to hit those level 2 soon. And it's actually Icy and Firesong to get it first. And Joey was not ready for that, so eating a lot of early damage. You are going to have that pop to heal up, but you can almost see in the aggressive nature of how they were pushing. BU were not thinking that they were going to hit level 2 second there. Yeah,
I mean, with the volley again, like you'd expect them to be able to kind of control the wave a little bit, push if they wanted to, and I think they were just kind of playing it safe. Keep in mind, you mentioned the junglers as well, so for the side of BU Sword's bot lane, pushing out is a little bit more dangerous for them. The trade as well, Orbital, because of Milio in their back pocket, I think Jojo is okay. You will be able to heal up and be a bit more reactive.
No, this jungle situation occurring. KCBO has to jump away. Ghost was used, so it looks like you're going to be safe. Instead, James Bond is pretty much all in on this situation, right? You have no flash. You have nothing. Thankfully, Neon Diamond was there to route him out, but I would say a win for the side of BU, rushing KCBO out of the jungle.
Okay, Orbital, so Warwick is not a farm to a level 6 jungler anymore. I mean, with the
surprises around every turn.
Yep, like I said, I'm not familiar with the jungle Warwick. I think I've seen him more than I've seen him jungle in recent splits, so good to know, good to learn. Oh my goodness. One more auto and he'd have been down. Nice Tech fans going for it.
I'm not sure you're going to like this. That is that Q, and you flash out of tower range. We said we didn't want to see kills. Like, what's going on here? We weren't expecting it at the top side. Yet Linus Tech Tips fan, I have to give length to the entire name because, man, that was pretty fancy.
Yeah, and you could tell Linus Tech Tips fans knew exactly what he needed to do to get the kill. Even holding off that last auto till he was pretty much on the escape route, so that knew that, hey, I can do this, flash, not die. I'll be fine, I'll be good. And it's a solo kill, bro. No jungler intervention needed. We're talking about junglers, the top lane's like, we're tanks, we're doing this.
Now, it's not the tanks, it actually is the jungle, as Raidboss actually loses out on the clone, which means you do have to bring that flash. Well invested. Remember, this is something that we talked about. BU actually did have good early game pressure. James Bond was able to react to the lanes a lot faster. We're seeing it again, but this time without the loss that followed in game 1.
Yeah, they won pretty much all their lanes last game. Things kind of fell apart in the mid game. That's it, Orbital. Take a look at the CS numbers in the bot side there, because it's kind of the opposite now. BU Sword is winning out in pressure. James Bond, Meow, great invades, stopping KCBO from being aggressive, but in the individual 1v1s, the 2v2, Indiana Tech is actually just ever so slightly ahead.
That feels good, right? That is going to lead to a situation where Joey and Supernova are allowed to kind of dictate the pacing, but we haven't talked about someone in a while because they got run out of their own jungle. Take a look at where KCBO is, actually routing through the top side on enemy side. Both junglers opting to have this kind of vertical situation occur, and that might make for messy gameplay coming up here. I'm very curious how they're going to opt for these rotations and who's actually going to make a play first. Instead, James Bond going to go for that first dragon uncontested by anyone.
Yeah, and that's a really good read from KCBO, because as we've seen, decent, great ganker, but not ideally suited for dueling against Warwick, who has so much sustain and can kind of out-trade you 1v1. So KCBO is the one trying to avoid the matchup and does find a way in to answer topside. It's being contested, by the way, by Detective fans up there on that Poppy, but has to be careful that Detectives doesn't get pinched in exchange or in return.
I love the fact that you pointed out it's a good read, because it's a good read by the rest of the team as well, right? You do need to rotate up. You knew just about everyone on BU was rotating closer towards that dragon side, but now it's a secondary value. I said it was a good one. What happened to the safety? Where did everyone go, bro? Protect your jungler, no!
Raid Boss and Bandit Boy actually did rotate up at first, and then for some reason they said, we're fine. Oh, well, I say for some reason, but there was push against them. Firesong might be in trouble. The slows keep landing.
Oh man, this is BU starting to show their teeth here. Bot side, one more W. If that W had landed, I think Firesong was dead. I don't think the volley actually clipped, but man, I wasn't expecting that. Linus Tech Tips right now in the top side being an absolute menace on this half of the Rift.
Now, what's interesting, Orbital, is the fact that the Poppy, right, has 2 kills. Poppy, not a champion we know to take over a game. So I think for Indiana Tech, that's probably the best case situation if they had to give up 2 early kills. But now Bandit Boy has to be very, very careful about how he lanes against Tech Tips. Because if you died once solo, you can die again. And it's only going to get worse as Tech Tips gets tankier or stronger with these items. It's such a weird thing to say, because it's still a tank versus a tank.
It is, but we've also seen, I think it's the phase rush jungle poppies before that are just like assassins pre-level 6, and then you're just like, I hate life. It's not this time, right? It's bombing center, it's wave clearing and everything, so I do agree. It's going to be difficult. What this does mean is KCBO, who has had, I want to say little to no early game presence so far, I don't even think has had a reliable gank in any of the lanes in the early game, is going to be even less so, right? Because now with the TP starting to become unlocked, I think in about 2.5 minutes, you have to be worried about this tanky Poppy being there, and it's going to limit your choices if you're always fearing that. Of course, like I said, 2.5 minutes is how long that's going to take.
Yeah, and soon it'll become everybody else's problem. But for now, Orbital, it's still Bandit Boy's problem and will be for that time till we see the TPs come through bot side. Just trades coming through a little bit back and forth. Oh?
They didn't get the ward. That's like the whole fight right there was over the tornado and everything. Good ward keep by Indiana. Oh no. Oh no! Oh no! KCBO, your jungle is not your own. That's gonna be a pinch against the wall. I don't think you want to be here, KC, but take a look at that. Oh, the whip! The keeper's verdict whip. KCBO was able to bait it out, and can Bandit Boy help out? That's gonna be the Dragon Kick into the knockup. Look at the arrow downtown! The arrow from Joey locks it down. You're able to get one, and now the rest of Indiana is on the run. BU says PU, get out of this smelly jungle. Big win for the squad.
Oh, rest in peace, BO. This is such a hard game. And again, we're talking about the fact that Tech Tips, should just be Bandit Boy's problem. But Tech Tips, I love the aggression. Getting out of lane. Even if you can't take the time to roam all the way to the bot side, even if you can't go to the mid lane, just invading the jungle right now is creating so much pressure. And BU Sword, the teamwork this game, Orbital, has been so much better as well. The way they're collapsing in when they need to, the way they know exactly how much Tech Tips buy them, has been spot on.
Well, this is a nice little piece that you get. No way you survive it. No way, Supernova. No way you kill them again. Bot side, we got a random kill, though. It's a 1-for-0 as Icy was able to grab a solo. But again, this denial, like, I understand that's a kill, but I mean, BU have basically eliminated KCBO from this game. Now they get another one because Firesong is going to get slaughtered, and James Bond, you do not have infinite duress, but Firesong not able to follow up. BU now have control over the enemy jungler, the enemy top, and what feels to be soon, enemy mid.
Yeah, and I love this, the early game strike they have just
Jesus.
speeding
Oh
down
my
right
god.
now.
There's
Oh.
no way you can outrun that. That's double speed ups.
Yeah, and that's how this comp works. That's what I'm talking about with the heals, the shields, the support for this Warwick, and look how healthy James Bond has been as well. All these ganks, all these clears, and James Bond Meow basically never drops below 50% health arrow. Just shy. I will say, I think that was a bit over ambitious in that arrow. Even if you land, I don't think Tech Tips can solo out Bandit Boy from 100 to 0. You need to land that build.
Listen, it doesn't matter. You hit it once and your confidence skyrockets, right? Like that was a cross map
true.
arrow number 1. Bro, you don't care. You are on cloud 9 and
was
nothing's
number
gonna
2.
bring it down.
Joeyson has landed one already, right? In that jungle fight. Yeah, and Diamond getting kind of low, but BO's right there.
I was wondering about this one. Are you actually going to do it? Take a look, though. That is going to be a very collapsed raid boss. I saw that clone on the side of my screen, and it works once again. The reactionary value coming out of Indiana might work. However, that's only one. Now they turn it around. Tech Tips is here. A dive in the backside. Casey can't get the kill. The heal comes out just for a little bit extra support. BU only lose 1 and take 2 on the back end.
And the early game, BU making the aggressive moves, they win out every time and barely drop a body. Now, Indiana Tech trying to answer, props to them for being proactive, but it doesn't work. Every time they make these plays, it's a 1-for-2, 1-for-3 situation, and BU Sword are able to answer back and continue growing their lead. I still think Indiana Tech has skill in their pocket, but we might not get there at the rate BU Sword is accelerating this game.
I just want to point out, this feels a lot like game number 1, except BU, their early game movements actually have value now. Like that's a stark difference, right? Because that was almost our win condition from game 1. Indiana, scale up, do well, get to mid to late, and you win. It's the exact same premise, just different starting value. It's crazy to me, and I love it because it means that the teams have somewhat found their identities. Now, as we said that, we're still watching Indiana look for a lot of these global objectives. Take a look, Void Grub taken on the far end, only 4, so no Void Mice to come out, but Dragon currently being taken by Indiana as they have 4 on this bottom side, and Supernova has to just walk away. That will now be a Dragon apiece between the two teams, and I'm wondering which soul will be activated. It is a Chemtech on second Dragon. Let's see what the cry of that third is and which soul we will have for us here. It is Ocean, the one dragon that I think if Indiana gets can overcome this early game. Of course, at the same time, this is a difference. That's an arrow from downtown, and it lands perfectly. It's just that easy. Down goes the NECC. I was so excited about Dragon, I forgot about the arrow.
Yeah, Raid Boss not even able, unfortunately, to proc the damage component of the Pop Blossom there, and BU just kind of running over this. Now, Orbital, you're talking about Ocean for Indiana. Fire Song about to get quenched.
Even Ocean wouldn't save that. This is like pure solo queue destruction right now. That will be a kill on the backside, but guess who you have to run from right now? Thankfully, the Blast Cone is there to run away, but I mean, man, it's going to be a chance. Ooh! Tech Tip said, can't take that one. And Lee Sin said, yes, I can. Get out of here.
But it was close. Orbital is buying Bandit by a bit of space. Not the best split pusher, though, on the Mel fight, just picking up some farm. Orbital. Ocean Soul, though. I think it's even more terrifying if BU Sword.
Oh, yeah.
Because Warwick is already undying now. Imagine what's going to happen later on between the heals, the shields, and the constant regeneration. Sure, Varus has some grievous wounds built in, but at that point, you're going to need more than one source of grievous wounds.
And it's such a harsh sink as well. Remember, that's an 800 gold value that you have to drop that you'd have to give to everyone. Whee! No speed boost out of base there. But it's too true. Right, those grievous wounds do have to come in if Indiana give up dragons, which at this point they are going to. 3k down, you lost a lot of value around. You haven't lost the towers per se, so you aren't breaking into those dangerous spots just yet. But you do have to keep eyes out. And with the Herald now coming up as well, BU basically have their choice of where they want to set up for the next global.
Yeah, in fact, I think any fight on open ground right now does favor the side of Sword. They've got better poke with that Karma. They've got better sustain with the Milio because Indiana Tech doesn't really have heals.
Oh my god. That surprised me, but look at that. They did everything. They did everything. It's a Karma Milio. That engage looked perfect.
Yeah, and until you've got something to cut the healing or even some of the shielding as well, it really isn't going to work. And this is why I said BU Sword will win any engage on open ground right now. For Indiana Tech to find a win, it's got to be either under a turret or you find a pick on somebody who is vulnerable. And who's really vulnerable on this composition, Orbital? Warwick's tanky, Poppy's tanky, Karma's tanky. You've got to find Milio or Ashe basically alone and without the support of the rest of the team.
That's such a hard ask. Like, that is such a hard ask right now. I'm seeing it right now. That is going to be in charge of the Herald, breaking down the first or the second tower of the game. How much are you actually going to get out of it? That can be a second charge as well. We're keeping eyes on this bot lane because we are seeing KCBL look to try and get some retribution. A kick over the wall could do it. You land it just right. That's a Chain of Corruption landing, and you do get the ADC, but the damage has been done in the mid lane. A kill for 2 towers, or 2 kills for 2 towers is more than enough, and now maybe you can run it back. James Bond said, hey, I'm level somewhat more Infinite Duress able to get the kill, but no, that's going to be a monster monsoon, and you got to turn it around. Indiana say, hey, you bit off more than you can chew. You may have gotten mid, but we will take
Bandit
bot.
Boys coming. Bandit Boys coming as well. If they can land the Unstoppable Force, they can keep this fight going. They need Icy Ice Baby, who isn't here.
No, this is 2 tanks almost. This is
Here
just
we
a
go.
little bit of safety, and there it is. 2-man knockup into the queue. Neon is able to flash away, didn't get hit by the Sonic Wave. Out goes with the Keeper Verdict. You are safe. Linus trying to run for their life right now. But the chase, the double flash, for downtown lands, and then the empowered Q. Rainbows comes in for a little bit more value. Pop Blossom lands on 1, but can they turn around? The shields are just too good. Neon Diamond is alive. Neon Diamond lives by the skin of their teeth and multiple shields behind. Are you kidding me? Chase to chase to chase again. Icy trying to run away, but you can't. The slows from the Ashe are just too good. It looked good for Indiana, but BU come back with a nasty, nasty fight.
What a roller coaster of events over the fact that Indiana Tech, we're just saying the only way they get back and find the picks, the squishy targets, and what do? They find it on Joeison, they find it on Supernova, but the resulting chase, even after they took down James Bond Meow against the tanks, just not enough damage. If they were just a little bit closer, Orbital, maybe Indiana Tech turns the tides, but instead it's BU Sword in the extended fight on that second round of resets, able to find that. And all this was happening as well, Orbital, let's not forget, they did take both the turrets in the mid lane, so the map is wide open right now.
I would even put the topside tower that just fell to be a consequence of that mid-game fight, right? That was 3 towers technically in the back pocket. It was a very nice push from Neon, who quite literally joined the fight again, ran topside and just pushed that tower. BU have gotten so much, and I also want to point out this bot side, Tech Tip saying that, yeah, I got that one too. Neon Diamond is 6-0-4, not able to make it happen previously, but this time around on a comfortable champion, much stronger, much more powerful, in what's supposed to be a supportive position. Like, that's crazy to me. Such a turnaround.
Yeah, and the composition, I think, flows a lot better this game as well. Right. Before, I mean, Ari Viego is a combo, but really that's a mid to late game combo. Arrow comes out once again from Joeison. It does land, but it's a little bit far.
Oh my god! It's not far at all! What are you talking about, RMC? Listen, I can cover that ground with the Warwick. You have to use the kick, but it's not going to be enough. Finally jumping away, but those arrows are doing so much work. BU just chasing a mid.
Yeah, and they can just keep on pushing. Even without a Baron buff, Orbital, it feels like a Baron push coming through right now from this team. We mentioned before, the poke is really good from BU Sword, and now the split push from a very fed Poppy Orbital. It's slow, but it's sure.
Alright, so who's going to die first is my question. Tech Tips or Neon Diamond? Like, which one is actually going to fall first is my question, because they're going to get this tower for free. Alright, well, okay, I didn't even get that chance because now they're wanting to fight. Please don't fight. I want to give RMC time to talk. Thank you.
Neon Diamond's been left alone, so...
Oh, okay.
Surely
Never
you'll
mind.
survive this year.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you are going to die here. Finally, a nice pickoff. And you're going to run for your life, but it's a shutdown. Man, I want to pose that question. Gosh dang it.
Well, you got it out before they died, at least.
True. Still, though, very nice pickup. Indiana, they are good at scrapping and finding these singular picks. That is what the composition has been made for. Unfortunately, there's nothing on the table, right? Like, Baron's up in a minute, you don't have any value on it, and you're just now trying to break your second tower of the game.
And they have to be careful about overextending as well from the side of Indiana Tech. There's no teleport available for Neon Diamond, but an arrow comes out, and if Joeison wants to keep running you down, we literally just saw that happen, what was it, 2-3 minutes ago? These hyperextended lanes do not favor the side of Indiana Tech when you're getting chased. So, good, wise back from them for now, reset, and then try and find another pick this time. Hopefully when Dragon or Baron is up. And actually, I don't even think they can take Baron even if they find one person. I think they just wait for like 2 minutes, find a pick, and then go for Dragon if you decide of Indiana Tech. And I don't think BU Sport's going to make that easy for you. The vision has been immaculate.
You can take a look here. It's just Supernova has been clearing it out, but I mean, the other side of it, Indiana, I would like to say, IC has been fed a lot of kills. 4-1-1, I think, picked up 2 of the shutdowns so far. So, yes, you're only on an item and a half, still closer than you were before. So, little pieces may be coming back. However, Baron now spawning. You can see the purple worm starting to crawl through. It's going to be a nice little fight. Joey, though, saying, I want that chance. What about a potential catch? Very nice attempt by Raid Boss. But Joey able to orb walk their way out, only burning that ghost.
That was clutch, and that ghost, those fancy feet just saved their life. One thing that Joeyson has to keep in mind is that we've kind of seen bot side already. The Milio and the Ashe are very, very squishy. So if Indiana Tech can find them, that can often make things a lot easier going forward. You need both the Karma and the Milio to make Warwick unkillable. One just makes him very, very tanky, but not the Raid Boss that Indiana Tech is lacking right now.
Jokes. Jokes, I like it. Alright, RMC, you win that one. I had like 2 good ones earlier, I think. Right now, though, Baron is going to be looked at in triple warding, whether you like it or not, on top of this bush. But the other side of it, we haven't really talked about it. I love the fact that BU have this composition on an Ocean Soul, of all things, right? Like, the amount of bushes that you can just hide in as James Bond and pop out of, even with wards down, is so scary, right? Like, it's so annoying in a frustrating manner, but as much as I say that, we are still kind of stuck at that neutral position. Neither team wants to make a mistake, and BU, I don't know if they're actually confident in their own gameplay. They know they're ahead, but how far ahead are they actually?
Enough orbital that in a straight up fight they still win almost like 99 out of 100 times right now in a straight up fight. And for BU Sword, they're playing it a little bit slower, right? We could kind of mention they're kind of just waiting for the dragon to spawn. That's where they fall back to. That's one of their big win cons. There's no need to overextend, rush, and get punished. After they get that dragon, then I expect that we'll see them press a lot harder and look for a pick. If BU Sword gets a pick, they could probably go for Baron, whereas Indiana Tech would need to take at least 2, and one of them has to be James Bond Meow before I feel confident that they can actually go for Baron.
And the thing is, James Bond always has 2 bodyguards, right? Like, we're seeing it here. Neon Diamond and Supernova are literally like within a screen's length of this Warwick at all times. It is...
Yeah.
I hate it so much. I hate Warwick. I'm just gonna say it here. Like, that champ.
Who was someone was excited for it earlier, Orbital?
I was. That doesn't mean I enjoy it as much as I say I do. Like, it's just late game. It fills me with dread whenever I see that champ. But it's so true. You do need to kill James Bond. If you're the side of Indiana, you got to find it. Now they've had a little bit of a moment. You can see the wards going down here, and KCBO and Raid Boss trying to be that duo like they were in game number 1. Hunt for that kill. However, the one that you're hunting currently has about 3.4k HP and is drawing you away from the dragon.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think Indiana Tech is thinking about contesting for this dragon whatsoever. They've just completely sacked it. It's not so. So I don't think it's game ending to give this up, but it is still more regeneration for some of these tanks. Supernova, a bit of supportal combat so far. No backup here until the arrow. Okay.
Any other support outside of Jaina, I don't think you would have gotten there, right? That move speed was very crucial getting away from that arrow. Raid Boss, of course, trying to duke out, but this is actually a big problem. Nice stun against the wall. Raid Boss getting caught out here. Does have flash. That's an empowered Q. It's just too much damage to sustain.
Was that the pick BU Sword need to start up Baron Orbital? I mean, the Nico is a big chunk of damage, especially burst damage onto squishies. And yeah, it looks like Indiana Tech, they're just praying for the steal from BU.
All right. I mean, KC, you've had some moments. Maybe it's there, but Linus Tech Tips is like, yo, I got a tip for you. Do you know what happens when a Poppy meets a Lee Sin? Do you know the brutality that can come about? I get to stop you coming in, but I couldn't.
You do it! He does it!
Are you kidding me, KCBO? Linus did everything except pop the steadfast presence, and now Firesong is going to pay with their life. But KCBO just stalled for at least another 3 minutes.
And Orbital, we're talking about the brutality that Poppy can put down. I didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
Casey
Why
not
do you
only
pick
caught
the Poppy? Why do you pick the Poppy?
The keeper's verdict was innocent this time, Orbital, because it actually disengaged and got Casey the free out. Now, Indiana is still down a member right now, and BU is still really strong. They are pushing in revenge, but they have to be careful for a potential catch. Those are 2 tanks.
Oh, but they soloed out Joey. Take a look at that. Joey's getting run away, which means these 2 don't really have damage behind. James Bond has to run away, and Tech Tips is going to try and chase as well, but there's nothing there. Unstoppable Force lands, and you root Indiana. They may have lost their support, but they'll get a top lane shutdown. Massive 500 extra to the side of KCBO.
Okay, can they keep pushing though? Overall, because Indiana Tech has been on the back foot this entire game. This is the closest they've been. 2,000 gold down, and even with this, I'm still scared for the push. We've said it so many times. BU Sword, long extended lane, very, very dangerous. Neon Diamond up front.
I mean, they're going to try and chase it out. Raid Boss doesn't really have the ult, but take a look at that. ADC supportal combat, whatever you want to call it. Icy wins it with ice in their veins. Q does not land, so they can't follow up. Massive damage out of the Empower Q. Keep in mind, the only reason Joey died there was because KCBO was able to get both summoner spells out earlier. However, Bandit Boy, a little bit dangerous. You don't want to step up when the rest of the team isn't there.
Ooh, boy. Okay. That's a little bit scary overall. And you can see that Indiana Tech, 1 member up, looking for that push, still can't really push in with that Baron. So it looks like this Baron is just going to be a stall Baron for the side of Indiana Tech. They're still looking to scale. And Orbital, the worst news for Indiana Tech is, not only can you not push and find turrets, Baron buff will be off of you as Ocean Soul, potentially, for BU Sword spawns. So you still have to go toe-to-toe without buffs, without advantages, against a team that has been dominating this game so far.
And you're also riding on the fact that you can just out DPS it, because take a look down the row. I'm seeing 0 grievous wounds on anyone, right? Like, I don't see it on anyone. As you said, IC does have it built into the kit, but that's only on, I believe, people that stand on the hallowed grounds, or the grounds, right? The E. It's not that much. I mean, the fight's going to be ever evolving, so at the current moment, you are hoping for that type of chance. Raid Boss, though, has been very, very pivotal in trying to find these, but Fire Song, this is now the 2nd or 3rd time that they've been caught out in dire straits, and it just feels bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, as an Enchanter support, you don't get to roam out and just ward. You will get picked off, as we just saw. Good news, it doesn't matter for Indiana Tech. There's nothing to fight over right now. Dragon's going to take a minute. Fire Song will be back up if you can find Yan Diamond. Perhaps worth a little bit more.
Oh, and expending the flash.
Wow.
I know that was a lot. I just don't like seeing Raid Boss lose the flash when they have actually been really good at these spot block. I just want to point that out. Even though Raid Boss is 1, 4, and 3, they found engages pretty well. Losing that flash before Dragon, that worries me. Yeah,
and that's why I was a bit concerned about that particular spell being used. It's going to take much, much longer for that one to come back up. In contrast, the Neon Diamond actually just respawning and getting to that Dragon. And that Dragon is the pivotal fight. If you Sword get it, I don't care that Indiana Tech is caught up in terms of gold. I just don't see you taking down a Warwick with 2 supports on them. Heck, at that point, even Joeyson with the heals, with the shield, with the regen, might actually be able to go toe-to-toe with Icy Ice Baby.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the gold there, right? It was a pretty heavy lean into Icy, but in the mid lane, Neon Diamond has had so much impact and didn't really go the supportive side, so a little bit more damage oriented. Right now, we are getting this Dragon, one of the big ones, but that's a catch. Arrow comes down from that down. Catches the big monsoon. You might not have it. That's gonna be a split fight though. Take a look. BU trying to cause it on the back line, but I don't think they got it. The survival is there. Ensemble Force is able to fight, but Joey's untouched. That is melting pot for BU. So as they slice, they dice, and they punch their way through the likes of Indiana. The tech fails, and BU Sword washed the fight 3-0.
At the critical moment, Orbital, Joeyson has been sniping time after time, and sure, you didn't stun Icy Baby, but you did manage to get the slow, and that was all James Bond needed to go undercover, finish his mission, take out the target, and that soul is theirs. Orbital, BU Sword, they haven't won the game yet, but it feels like we're right there.
I mean, with that soul, now it's just like, it's icing on the cake. Right, we've been waiting for BU Sword to have a good fight for a while. We saw Indiana consistently find picks. I was actually getting a little bit worried. I was sitting there like, yo, this is a little bit dangerous. You're starting to lose members and you have to be really concerned. BU Sword were like, nah, don't even worry about it. We're still very much in control. We're still very powerful. We're just waiting for that perfect time, and they found it. Now with this objective under them, the threat of a Baron steal will be the only thing in the back of their mind in about 40 seconds.
It's happened before, Orbital. It can happen again. That's all I'm saying. And this time, I mean, Indiana Tech, they are they are still scaling up. They are still trying to look to hold the game as much as possible. And as tanky and as unkillable and immortal as BU Sword might be, you still have to take turrets and actually take the Nexus. So Indiana Tech just going to look to try and farm up stall as long as possible, pray for that Hail Mary. And if the game goes, to 40 minutes overall at that point, like one team fight just wins it all, right? Regardless of how far ahead you are, it is still possible to screw up and kind of drop the game.
I think a big part of that as well is when we're talking about mess ups, I don't really want to call it a mess up, but Fire Song needs to be able to stay behind and get some help warding out, right? 3 or 4 times we've seen the arrows land, whether by unforced or forced. But that's going to be a problem. Right now, this Baron is being started up here, but good interference this time. Neon Diamond, a single empowered Q, denies the Janna coming in, but keep eyes where the Lee Sin is nowhere close. However, line of sight tips on the backside is waiting. Maybe they got the catch. That's going to be an arrow that whips, and out they go. But that's the kick that you needed. That's all you needed. The Keeper's Verdict is down, and that's going to be the Baron. Now, can the ensuing fight work? Bandit Boy looking to have that chase. Fire Song, a little bit HP on the back line. It looks like they are going to fight it. BU kind of relegating themselves to realize they don't really have a choice here. Pop Blossom only going to land on one, but how tanky are you? Remember, BU Sword has so much HP and has so much region that they're surviving. That's a Warwick to the back line, denying you. This split fight may go the ways of the front liners. Indiana and BU solo out the back lines, but it is BU that come out with way more damage. And KCBO, you are low and wanting for the world. BU Sword win a fight with Baron this time.
Well, I know they just took Baron and won a big fight, but all I can think in my head is BU Sword needs an Aston Martin sponsorship, man. Watching James Bond just zoom after people right there, that's absolutely disgusting. Both AD carries went out overall, and we said in draft, a lot of this game feels like it's going to come down to who's able to take out the AD carries. And once they're down, who did we say was going to be the hero? Well, James Bond, because he's unkillable. And he can actually shred through you. It takes a while, but it can and will happen. Now, without the AD carries, though, BU Sword is struggling to actually push this wave in. So, Indiana Tech have the time to reset, push out their waves a little bit, and then they'll probably have to deal with about a minute and a half with BU Sword Siege.
I do want to point out, though, the fact that Indiana were even allowed access to the back line and able to fight for that long means that, as you said, RMC, the composition is starting to come online. There is some life to it. And let's also take a look at some of the items that were just dropped. We see a Bramble Vest in Bandit Boy's pocket. We now see that that Oblivion Orb in Raid Boss's side, who, by the way, is still running fantastic interference. As you said, there is life if we reach that 40-minute mark. Will it reach there? Maybe not, but at least there's gumption. Indiana, I think, are going to probably play for this Elder Dragon. That might be the final chance that they really have, but, I mean, man, if they aren't scrapping to the absolute limits, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that one might actually cost them the game if they give up that Elder for free, so expect to see them there and fighting. And Orbital, I love that you highlight the Grievous Wounds, because it's no longer just about Warwick, it's no longer just about Million. It comes down to Ocean as well. We saw how long it took to take down Joey Sin.
Oh my god.
Arrow lands, instant cleanse, and both teams will just reset.
I mean, we say that, but that's a huge chunk, right? That's a really main piece of equipment that was necessary. And take a look at this. KCBO maybe wishes they had one too. Look at the rundown. Joey's just shredding you. KCBO's dead. Wow. Oh, that's a pick and a half.
And they tried to reset, but it just did not work. Yeah. The speed ups, we've been looking at the speed ups on James Bond, but now with Joey Sin, it feels a bit like, the Protect the Kog'Maw composition, the Juggermore composition, where you just speed, tank, do everything you need to do.
I mean, that Juggermore at some points can actually work for itself, right? Joey Sin doesn't have to do too much, just fire an arrow, lands, and honestly, big MVP for me right now, because with that kill, you don't even have to look at Elder. That's in a minute and a half. Who cares about that? We want to take the base. BU want to end this game right now. Bandit Boy trying to run interference, and yes, the heals are coming through, but a single empowered Q from Neon Diamond can actually shape them like they've been hit by a diamond. Topside inhibitor is down. BU backing off, playing the safe game this time around.
Oh, one empowered Q almost took out Fire Song right there. 2/3 of their health through the shield. That was absolutely nutty coming through. And Orbital, those shields coming through from Neon Diamond as well are massive. One thing we kind of haven't talked too much about, I feel like we almost need a Serpent's Fang right now to cut through all the shielding that we're starting to see come through here. There. A little bit of poke, and they're just not taking damage whatsoever. Indiana Tech, their backs are up against the wall. Super Sub pouring in top. Elder in 30 seconds. Do or die.
Well, Neon Diamond is actually a little bit zoned out here. But I mean, the damage is just too real, right? Fire Song, that is now about the 5th time that they have been zoned out of the fight, and that's just supportable arrow time, but the arrow does miss this time, so maybe you get out. Yes, Ice is there, but a good punch, and now they zone out James Bond, but look at the shielding, look at the healing. Keeper's Verdict takes away a huge front line. Pop Blossom is able to land on 3, but where's the damage? It is nowhere to be found. BU Swords say, we will win. Indiana Tech running for the hills. James Bond front and center. Ain't a spy this time, but they are going to win. TP into the back line. As that is Neon Diamond saying, screw the kills. We want the win. We want a game 3.
Great boss and Fire Song trying to stop your chip. They actually just walked right past that turret. The entirety of BU Swords looking at.
Oh my god. Straight through the front door. This is amazing stuff here in game number 2. Game 1, a little bit awry. Game 2, much more their style.
We kind of said it after last game.
About this early fighting inside of the lanes, we have seen them be very tempered in their early game aggression. I mean, remember game number 1, that bot side engage that netted BU Sword, a first kill before things got out of control, was very controlled, very hands check style S situation. And it looks like the teams agree with you as well. Indiana just setting up with a 5-point, don't want to get too messy. I think that's appropriate. However, the stacking is already starting here. By the way, Neon Diamond is just trying to be an annoying pain in the butt. You can heal up pretty well, but just getting a little bit of damage check down on Raid Boss.
And for Neon Diamond, you're trying to scale as fast as you can, because one thing that Aurelion Sol has always struggled with is that laning phase, especially early on when you don't have enough damage to actually clear the wave effectively. You can get out traded, and more importantly, you can get ganked. So Neon Diamond wants to skip that phase of the game as quickly as possible. And keep your eyes to the mid lane, because as much as I say that I think KCBO is going to be the one with the kill streak, it could very well start in this mid lane where the Aurelion Sol is very, very vulnerable early on.
Just that early coordination. It's funny watching these two actually throw stuff at each other. I don't know why, because I know most of the damage doesn't really stick. Both these champions, Galio does actually have more now than he used to in the past, but it's just funny watching them just like throw spells, and both of them are like, really, we're really gonna play this game right now? Like, we just want to farm and hit level 6 and then roam out, or
no.
you know, we would just want to scale, and they're like, no, we're gonna bully.
No farm, all kills overall. That's how the game rolls. Okay, so to be fair too, you already talked about the fact that Neon Diamond is looking to try and get those stacks rolling. They get some of the Dragon's Breath down, get that generating. But for Raid Boss, you're also looking to try and get some of that damage down to set up easier ganks. And we're talking about ganks, by the way. KCBO is pushing James Bond out of the jungle.
This is something that they had against them in game number 2, and now being able to fight back in game 3, James Bond this time is not allowed any value, and because that was a drag, a supernova out, it means Joey actually loses pressure on this wave. And I mean, this is kind of the snowball effect that we're going to see every so often here in this game. How do the junglers interact, and how does that affect the rest of the lanes?
Yeah, and this is why I was talking up that Graves, right? You can do your own thing, and heck, you won the 1v2. KCBO stole away Gromp, so James Bond is going to be behind the beat on this one. And I know we're watching mid because there's trading happening and there's damage, but I'm looking at jungle right now personally because KCBO is already on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, look, they'll get close to death here, but that's a flash out. Neon, you can't recall inside the Winds of War, by the way. But again, our eyes are drawn up top. KCBO still trying to steal away, and unfortunately, I think James Bond is only going to get a portion of that farm. Keep eyes on those eggs, right? They are dueling this to the best, and that's a smite. KC gets it. However, this is the other side of it. Your lane, your top laner didn't get out, but that's going to be it. That's going to be a pickup on Isle mid, and it's a kill in first blood. Raid Boss trying to flash away, and Liv, but guess who's still alive? This is going to be a 2-piece for KCBO. We said the junglers are big, and that's going to be it. However, Linus can't pick up the finishing. So it's a 2 kills for KCBO, and honestly, huge start for Indiana.
That's exactly what Indiana Tech want. And hey, if you lose the Galio, no biggie. He is partial utility. More importantly, you shut down Aurelion so early, you try and slow that stacking. And bonus, you pull tech tips out of that lane. So now Bandit Boy up a little bit of experience, and early on, Ornn, we know what he can do.
Yeah, and especially without a ghost, Linus is actually very susceptible to these long trades, and we talked about it, right? The Gwen is not exactly tanky. If you want to get tanky on Gwen, you got to get more kills than just one. Bot side, though, with all of the aggression, has actually led to a plate being taken early on. This is probably, I think, one of the first times we've actually seen a plate taken without more trading of the summoner spells in bot side. It's a little bit different show there.
And I'm sure it's not for lack of trying. We know that both Firesong and Supernova really love to get aggressive, but look at Firesong. Because Karma, you get to step up like that. You get to bully, and Summer Heal blown actually on the side of Firesong.
Oh, please bait this.
Yeah, baiting.
Oh, Firesong wanted to. Firesong wants to, and KCBO gets in for free. However, you're not going to challenge much further. You're just going to look at Gromp, maybe get a chunk if this wave pushes faster. That is what they're hoping for here. It's going to be a chance. I'm still waiting with bated breath. They're taking so long with this. That is enough time for James Bond to roam down. Keep eyes. About 10 seconds left. They're going to try and pull this dive off. That is going to be a flash out. Joey, though, still falls. Supernova is under the tower, but a good pump back. Leaves it to James Bond. James Bond comes in for the slay on Firesong. Ice Baby is going to be in trouble. And the roam from Asol means BU Sword have put Indiana into dicey position. A 2-for-1 value granted to James Bond.
The setup was so good there, Orbital, from Indiana Tech, but the execution doesn't quite work out. KCBO a level up on this Wukong right now.
And the damage is more than enough, right? Both of them roaming out, but guess who's still here? This fight is still going. This is roundabout 4 here. As things have gone down, Winds of War is going to keep him away, as well as the top raid boss. Does catch Neon, though, who still doesn't have flash. This Asol is susceptible. KCBO is on a rampage at 5.5 minutes.
They've got the damage from KCBO. They've got the CC from Raid Boss and Neon Diamond. This is illegal. You're an ASO. You don't get to go out of your lane like that. Sure, if your team spoon feeds you a kill like they did with Ice Baby, you pick that up. But if you're facing them in open ground, that does not end well for them. James Bond Meow made the right call. Not going in, not trying to snipe that kill, because he gets out alive. And KCBO is only, Oberlin, such a weird thing to say, but he's only 4-0.
It's a scary thought, and in this situation, we want to see the likes of Indiana actually press this advantage, right? They want to keep up this level of aggression, and if you do, you get to value that Ornn a little bit more, that Ezreal a little bit more. However, Bandit Boy has to flash away from the final needlework, and that's a scary thought, right? Dragon is on the table, but the rest of BU is currently on the top side with that flash out of Ornn. You can take those grubs if you wish. But James Bond says, I don't want the grubs. I want that kill on KCBO. I want to engage on this enemy jungler. Bot side Firesong also trying to engage, as every lane is pretty much having some value. This is getting a little bit insane. Double knock up on the top side. This is the fight that we want to watch of the 3. And final chunk though, as the Q finishes off, Linus gets away with a kill. KCBO only level 5, meaning you can't catch up and there's no collateral damage. Tech tips again with the stylish 1v2.
And there was a Brittle proc. If Bandit Boy had just autoed, that would have been enough CC, but unfortunately, Bandit Boy kind of got scared a little bit, and understandable when you're just getting snipped away, and for that, Tech Tip's able to get that one for free. KCBO, though, will still be able to pick up Void Grubs because he's just so strong, because he got those early kills. But the Sword there not going down easy.
And RMC, we're starting to see that pattern happen once again, where Indiana pretty much have free say over where all of these engages go and when they happen. And it didn't happen in games 1 and 2. It only happened when BU Sword were the ones dictating the pace. So Indiana actually having a little bit of freedom to do that themselves, it's yielding vastly different results. Yes, we are 4-4 in terms of kills, but 3 grubs now go Indiana's way, as well as a 2K lead.
And the gold distribution that you're mentioning as well, overall. The fact that KCBO is the one to pick that up, and significantly as well, 1,000 gold already ahead of James Bond, means that Indiana Tech is going to be really strong early, but the scaling's not necessarily there for them. On BU side, you saw Tech Tips is up, James Bond is up, and for the ASO, you don't care about the gold, you care about the sacks. So your Gwen, which is one of your big late game hyper carries who wants the gold, is accelerated. It's perfect for BU Sword if they can actually get to that point. And Indiana Tech, I feel like you've got to turn these screws harder. You've got to accelerate the pace of the game, or else BU Sword's in a great position right now.
It's weird saying that the team with an Ornn needs to accelerate the pace of the game, right? It's
yeah,
like,
actually.
that just sounds really, really weird, but it's true. With that being said, though, with all of the lane pressure now leaning into BU having to back away, the Dragon could be right for the taking. If KCBO can stop trying to steal away camps, however, that steal might be working here. James Bond having to clone out, but this collapse is going to be good. Raid Boss, though, can't really enter in, but it doesn't matter. True Shot Barrage lands on multiple. KCBO trying to go under the tower, and they do. Collateral damage gets that kill. Joey is down. A flash away as James Bond is trying to stay alive, but you can't. You are routed. The enemies know your identity, and it's going to be overpowering as Indiana, for as much as we're talking about the fight, the bot lane has gotten all of the plates and more.
True, and if you look at the CS differential as well, bro, one thing we hadn't noted, right? We saw every time we look down to the bot lane, Firesong is just bullying, is just pushing out Joeyson and Supernova. And that's what gave us this situation where they're constantly poked down. KCBO brings in Raid Boss as well. Numbers advantage. They get the kills. They get the turret. They get the Dragon. We caught for an acceleration. They just went from 0 to 100 in like, what, 20 seconds? 15 seconds? However long that play took.
Welcome to F1 racing, everyone. This is how fast you can go. Now, hopefully this is not a crash on the back end that could cause some problems. For right now, though, I do agree. Indiana are in a good spot. This ult, just trying to rush Bandit Boy out. I mean, there's not really much major value unless you decide to turn for it. Like this. Oh my gosh, Bandit Boy, stop. Stop. I see you looking. I don't want to see you engage that.
I don't know, man. That's looking kind of tasty. We've seen the triple brittle combo proc before. And one thing I want to highlight as well.
Oh my god.
Is this it? Is this it? Oh, no, never.
Nope, it's a whiff. It's an airball. Bandit's got to run. Bandit's got to run. The ghost is enabled. Bandit might have messed up. Are you going to dive this tower?
No,
it doesn't look like it, but you tried to do it, and you do! You don't need brittle when you can get help with the tower. Bandit Boy robs tech tips of a kill.
Bandit Boy just needs to stand and deliver. That's the second time over, but all he needed to do was fight. And this time he makes the right call with the fight. And Yan Diamond has to flash to get away from Firesong. The support roam up. Firesong is a beast this game.
This is getting out of control, and I give props to both teams for this. Something that I love when it comes to best of threes or any series that we see go the distance is improvements, step-by-step improvements. It's never falling back and having complications. This is Indiana stepping up after game number 2 and saying, we have learned from our mistakes. Take a look at this. The arrow from downtown not going to land on anyone on Indiana's side, but Indiana, again, this change-up of Firesong. We said Firesong needed to change champions. They've done it. They've adapted. They've overcome that. BU's sword. Now, in this game, need to find a way to adapt and overcome in their own way.
And I'm thinking back, to game 1 where Firesong was on the Bard, I believe. And I'm liking these more aggressive enchanters rather than the defensive Janna that we saw last game. Firesong is kind of controlling the lane, and that's giving Icy Ice Baby all the time in the world to scale up. One thing we kind of didn't touch on was throughout that entire skirmish in the jungle, where KCBO was applying pressure onto Neon Diamond, the teleport back and they immediately abuse. Icy Ice Baby is just hitting the target the entire time. That's 3 plates in the mid lane going the way of this AD carry. So this Ezreal, Essence Reaver already completed. He's actually half an item ahead of his counterpart in Joeyson.
And the fact that you do that and rotating it towards mid gives full pressure over towards these grubs. And Raid Boss, being the Raid Boss that they are, only burning Flash on the bot side, drew 4 people's attention. Because of that, you get full control, and now Tech Tips is in trouble with a possible 3-man dive if you wish.
Okay, Firesong has asserted dominance bot side, has asserted dominance mid. Firesong is looking to complete the circuit. I actually don't think this is going to work, Orbital, but it's Firesong, so I'm actually doubting myself a little bit. Okay, there we go.
Alright, so it wasn't a gank on the top side, even though they're fighting it like this. It's the identification of we still want to get jungle pressure. Take a look at how far they're moving inside of that zone. James Bond has to do with picking up scraps in the enemy side jungle. And yes, that is a good play. It is the right play to make. It doesn't feel good. That gold difference is expanding. And look at the camp difference. Yes, it's only 1, but the pressure that KCBO is putting down is so immense. I am wholly impressed with the identification of Indiana and how they have turned this around to look so much like in their control.
And it's not just the jungle deny as well, bro. It's the pressure into the mid lane specifically. They're trying to give Icy Ice Baby the most pressure possible.
Oh my gosh.
Oh!
Supernova lives. I thought that was a clean kill, but again, the healing that came out, a little bit of extra shielding, and the heal on your own person gives, I believe, just a slight bit more than if it were coming from your ADC. So a little bit of shift. Very nice call there. Still, main objective taken. Tower is down.
Yep. And now topside will be the next focus for Indiana Tech, especially if they can find the solo here.
I mean, you might be able to, but Linus Tech Tip is starting to heal up, has that Rift Maker available, which is a decent amount of healing. They're going to just trade out even at this end.
Yeah, I love the fact that Bandit Boy there, you can see whenever Bandit Boy is willing to stand and deliver, Linus Tech Tips is a little bit scared. Now, we are seeing James Bond Meow rotate to that top side as well. No needle work available means likely no kill threat. So, I was hoping James Bond Meow could kind of salvage something right now, but it looks like BU Sword still going to be on the back foot. I expect that to continue, even as that top lane outer turret should become the next focus of the side of Indiana Tech.
Not only that, with the Herald up, I mean, there's so much for Indiana to go ahead and grab. 2-1-0 for the side of Tech Tips is going to be nice, but this Herald really will be that mainstay, right? Wherever Indiana like to play this, BU Sword might not be able to contest. I'm very interested to see exactly how this breaks down, because this could be that main playmaker that enables KCBO and the rest of the squad to really start putting down the pressure, because we had questions, right? I think it was game 2. BU Sword had a little bit of struggles closing out the game. Indiana in their game 1 looked really strong in closing out. If we want to talk about acceleration, this would be the time to do it. You have pretty much all the chips in your hand without too much in BU Sword's favor.
Yeah, and you can kind of pick which turrets you want to go for, right? Especially when you're this far ahead with double marksman composition. We've seen teams kind of run Herald down one lane, take the turret, especially look at how low this bot side turret is, right? You can still pilot it into the mid lane as well, get the additional burst of damage. But there's no rush to do it, although Dragon is on the map. So I'd much prefer Indiana take that first and then look for the rotations, because that doesn't give BU Sword any avenues to try and find a counterplay. All they can kind of do is farm in this sort of situation.
With the Dragon going down, we have one of the safest Dragons available and one of the least played for, in my opinion. It is the Mountain Dragon that will go ahead and terraform a bit of this land. A couple extra pillars up inside the jungle, which makes vision that much harder to deal with. So it'll be really, really nice for the side of Indiana. They've been warding up pretty heavily on that bot side just to give themselves a massive advantage to know who's coming around. And because of that, they get free bot side tower. Easy does it, and they're going to drop Herald. This is what we were talking about, right? How quickly can you break open the game?
I'm actually very surprised we're doing this, because they could potentially take an inhibitor pre-19 minutes, and that might backfire as a ton of minions would be pushing in. Great wave clear from Nyan Diamond there is going to stop this turret from going down, but it is a sneeze away from dropping over.
It'll heal up, I think, only about, what, like 200 in the time of every wave if it's still pushed. So that's the side, but that's an arrow from a little bit of a short range. So Firesong is able to get out. It's a 3v4 desperation, but the TP coming in might be the same Grace. BU Sword trying to put on this one play. KCBO might be zoned out, but in comes Galio. It doesn't do enough. Here comes the cleanup, though. The rest of the team says we are strong as well. Look how long they are lasting here as Icy Ice Baby stands and delivers. As Bandit Boy does the same. Joey can do literally no damage. The burst is going to be enough. The finisher is enough. Double kill for the Ezreal. Flash for flash with the red buff. Make it a triple. A final Mystic shot will bring a close to that fight.
Icy Ice Baby has done the least or the slowest damage from an AD carry I've ever seen pick up a triple kill. He's not at his power spike orbital, but it doesn't matter because Bandit Boy right now looking more like a warlord the way he went into that fight. BU Sword, they too lack damage. So Bandit Boy just showed up, sat in the middle of everybody, soaked everything, and gave Icy Ice Baby all the time he needed to slowly melt through BU Sword.
And that's what scares me, RMC. Indiana, we were talking about this gold alleviation. A lot goes into KCBO, right? A lot of this gold went into the pockets of Graves, and we were wondering, how much is that going to influence this fight? KCBO pumped out damage early, actually fell relatively quickly once everyone got to about 25% on BU Sword. The cleanup, though, is so important to say. Right now, Indiana are showing they are now threats everywhere because of the towers, because of the plates, because of the gold in the rest of the team.
Look at that build overall. I just realized look at what Icy Ice Baby bought.
It's so good.
He doesn't care about damage. He picked up a Warden's Mail now. He's just waiting for Mirror Mana to complete Fire Song. Playing aggressive and just dodges the arrow.
Fire Song has really upgraded before, but sometimes you can't stand away from the needlework. I mean, there's only so much you can do. He used Sword say you overstep. Now you got to run. Good block on Raid Boss. No more dash. Not a chance. Collateral damage just to get KCBO out. Raid Boss is going to fall.
And meanwhile, Icy Ice Baby just pushing on at that top side as well. Good collapse and pinch from BU Sword. Now, Orbital, we've been talking a lot about Indiana Tech because they have been running this game, and Icy Ice Baby, actually the richest person on this map. But BU Sword, especially in these last couple of fights, we're seeing signs of life from them. The target selection is good. They know who they need to go after. They shut down KCBO, as you pointed out, really quickly last fight. And even now, the ward vision from them, defensive, and they're catching Indiana Tech as they overextend a little bit. And for BU Sword, if they can find a pick or two, they can drag this game up, another 10, 15 minutes. At that point, their comp will be fully online, and the gold gap will be a little bit more deceptive as the skilling kicks in.
I mean, we're about to see that deception right here. Icy Ice. Really? James Bond wanted none of that, and I'm very... If you were tracking summoner spells, you knew Icy didn't have any summoner spells, I think you could have killed.
Yeah, I agree, especially with how quickly Tech Tips can actually rotate down to back you up, plus the Cyclone CC. Unfortunately, I think James Bond was already chopping, perhaps, so didn't quite catch that happening. And besides, it gets him back to base fast enough to try and stop this potential push that we're seeing come through from Indiana Tech. They've been pushing up their lanes, and mid, bot, the minion waves are rolling in.
That's the scary part, right? That wave control has actually been one of Indiana's bread and butter here. Because take a look, because they have the waves in the right spot, they've been able to drop the wards. It's completely dark on the side of BU, which is why BU is currently first into this position. The arrow from downtown lands, but I mean, I think Bandit Boy is actually staying alive for a very long time. There's not a whole lot of damage. Good knockup to try and deny the second proc of that Orin Horn, but so the wall, Bandit Boy is going to stay alive for a little bit longer. Look how slow they're trying to chop through. Bandit Boy is actually healing in between thanks to that river. You are finally going to die in front of your own blue buff. But how much time did you waste? You wasted almost 30 seconds. Dragon is up, and Indiana get to put themselves on soul point.
Now, BU Sword on the other side of the map did a really good job actually buying space and time. They caught out Icy Ice.
Yeah, I saw that on the mini-map, and that's the other price. So 2 kills and a shutdown handed over for the price of a dragon.
And now, overall, the dragon could have been taken by Indiana Tech anyways without losing anybody on the map. Bandit Boy getting caught out bought a lot of time, but unfortunately, Indiana Tech actually wasn't able to leverage the 4v3 situation on the other side. And part of that is because we're only 21 minutes in and you're knocking on inhibitor turrets, Orbital. That's a very tight, narrow choke point. And so Indiana Tech can't afford to all in on it, or you get caught by that falling sky that Aurelion can drop on you. And BU Sword, they actually have a lot of wave clear on their end as well. And so we're starting to see now Indiana Tech stall out a little bit. Stalling is fine. You can stall and wait for objectives, play for Baron, play for Soul. But what you cannot do is give over these kills to BU Sword during this stall phase.
There are points where we do have to say, please, if you're on the side of Indiana, start, kind of respecting the value that BU Sword can put out here. That walk up by an ADC, who does have flash, by the way. You gotta respect that from the skies that Neon Diamond can put out. 0-2 and 6 already, 2 items in. Will be completing that Saracen Embrace next, I believe. It looks like they weren't, though, as that's going to be a nice little collapse. Fire Song is caught out. No speed ups available, but a nice flash over the wall by James Bond to deny Raid Boss. A way back out. KCBO, you better run for your life. I don't think you're going to get this one. They're going to try it, though. Raid Boss, no chunked out. Take a look at the damage. Two-shot barrage does little to nothing. And Linus Tech comes in like a boss, says, let me put some technical knowledge in your brain.
No,
Bandit Boy cannot actually hit because you have to run. You have to use that secondary proc to actually get further towards your base.
Is this it, Orbital? Is this the time when BU Sword's comp is actually starting to come online? They're gonna turn onto Baron as well. Keep in mind, 22.5 minute Baron. They aren't super tanky, so if they get caught, this could be bad.
I mean, they got all 5. They're shredding through pretty quickly. 3 are going to come through that river. Final ult comes on the sky, and it might land. And they found Firesong again, who just came back up. But the main one is Bandit. Bandit, so tanky. Does not get it, but the Wukong is able to finish off that Baron. Big win for the BU Sword Squad. James Bond wants it. A quick arcane shift out keeps you safe. But big dubs all the way through. Now, they have to get out alive. They will. They will have all 5 members to sustain BU Sword. What a dub and a half.
Yeah, and it's not just the one win, Orbital. Not only did they win the fight, not only did they win the Baron, even on the follow-up as well. They don't drop anybody. That's huge. And they actually end up stalling out Indiana Tech on the top side because they committed so much to try and find everybody else on the back end of that. With that, Yan Diamond able to pick up yet another turret. These are all objective bounties, Orbital, that BU Sword just picked up.
And it comes down again to, we talked about it, right? BU Sword need to find picks. That's what they're looking for. That's what they want with the abilities that they have on hand. They can grab 1 or 2 members key. Indiana are almost making it easy. Firesong and Raybots, you have no right, it felt like, being up that far when you know the chase can come down. We talked about respect. We talked about kind of understanding the limitations. It should be crystal clear now that Indiana are not allowed to get away with these almost cheater pushes inside lanes.
What right do they have? They have the first 20 minutes of the game as their right. That's what Firesong and Raybots have been doing this entire time. They step up. They get the poke. They dare you to engage them. The big difference is, prior to this, U-Sword couldn't punish them. But now 2-item spikes starting to come in for everybody. U-Sword can actually say, no, you're actually kind of squishy. Bandit Boy now going for the 1v1. No turret here for safety.
And there's no way to cut the healing either. You take a look, you didn't really have much. You're just going to try and run away. But Linus Tech Tip saying, I had that speed. Another dash should come up. But on the flip side, we're seeing kills shut down big for ICI. Says the fight on the top side leads into 4v4. This is the one that Indiana wanted. Collateral damage not going to finish him off. It is enough. ICI should run down Joe, who has to flash away. So an exchange of blows, and Bandit actually lives. So I would say a win for Indiana.
Dare we say Bandit Boy made out like a bandit, Orbital? That was pretty illegal.
I give you that one. That is true.
That was pretty illegal and pretty disgusting. That or actually managed to outrun a Gwen. Granted, no ghost available for tech tips there, so not able to run down. And the bot side fight, we have to talk about that. Because the fact that Indiana still won that shows that, sure, BU started to hit the power spike, but they are not necessarily ahead, Orbital. They are even at this point in the game. And if Indiana Tech gets the poke down from the Karma, from the Ezreal, they can still win these fights. BU Sword has to be a little bit more careful. They don't have a true tank to be soaking this poke.
And that's why they need the wards down. Take a look, littered around, making sure they know who's in front, who's around, and that's how they're almost able to catch Joey here. Even with the stun, it doesn't matter. You have no summoner spells to live. The ghost might be able to get you out, but take a look. A final shot with KCK BO might be able to win, but you can't give up this dragon. You want to fight. You turn around, and Joey is allowed to live, but you are out of the fight. Main damage dealer's there. Big wombo here. This is going to be the jungle pinch that they want. Firesong again used on everything, and down goes the support, but it's only a support. Now the main damage dealer's here. Exhaust goes down, and you are able to live. James Bond able to survive. Now how much in the backline are you able to keep? As in they go. Linus Tech Tips has to run for the hills with Milio down. There's not much safety for BU Sword. The flash in and the taunt denies another. As Indiana say, we might have let the catches go, but in a 5 squad, we are that much stronger.
Fight still continues. I mean, the range with an Ashe brings with the volleys can still be very, very annoying. James Bond leaving the clone behind to buy space, and Dragon is up. But Indiana Tech is being a little bit cautious about this one. KCBO has to smite and could be caught.
I mean, that's so rough. An arrow again. Joey, who has been on the receiving end of so much pressure, might have made the game-breaking play. BU Sword now trying to chance it out, and look at the shred. Linus still living. James Bond, though, not able to follow up, and they're going to take their wins where they can. BU Sword say, hey, you can't actually do this dragon. If you do, it's a little bit dicey. You got to keep track of us. I'm not sure Indiana can actually take this.
They haven't swept, so James Bond meow still has the smite available. They're trying to zone. That's Dian, though. He's not that.
That's great. It's still going to be enough. You have to watch his ult, and BU Sword run Indiana off, and now they're going to chase. Take a look at this. Tree Shot Burst is nothing. In goes the storm, the massive storm to draw you in. Raidboss running the wrong way. Down goes Icy, and Icy falls melted to the ground. Indiana might have won the first 20, but the next 7 so far have been all BU Sword.
They were sharpened. They were forged in the adversity of the early game. BU Sword, they are now being quenched in the blood of their foes, and the skilling is well and truly online. Orbital, they are actually starting to win these extended fights, and unfortunately for Indiana Tech, they're just constantly not quite able to finish the fights quite quickly enough. And the longer these fights go, BU Sword has plenty of damage to keep coming on through. We keep seeing these fights go back to recalls, people coming back in for round 2s, and Indiana, some of their damage with the Graves, with the Galio, with the Ornn even, it's front-loaded. Once you blow that, you're done. You don't have a second shot in that chamber.
To put that in perspective, KCBO was sat on 5 kills since about minute 15. They just picked up their next 2 kills in that bloodbath at 28 minutes. That is how long it has been since they've been able to collect a kill, and they're about to die for their 4th time. There is no out. There is no chance. BU Sword are now the hunters in this game.
And if you're an Indiana Tech fan, this is the moment where you start going, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And this isn't a joke. Baron spawning, BU Sword already there right at that moment. Indiana Tech, though, don't have the vision to safely walk into the pit. Firesong doing Firesong things with a Firesong ending.
I mean, you gotta try, right? Like, you gotta look, you gotta try and pull it off, because take a look at where everyone else is. Indiana making a little bit of desperate play, try and push it in the ways, but it doesn't do anything. BU Sword have enough shred, have enough value to go ahead and push away, and they get the Baron uncontested. I saw a 1 HP on there, and I was like, oh my god, if we saw KCBO for some reason come in, that would have been silly, but it is still Baron to BU Sword.
I was waiting for the True Shot Barrage to come in from ICI.
Right.
That, unfortunately, no dice this time, and BU Sword with Baron buff, with the skills well and truly tilted in their favor. Over the last time we saw a similar situation, we were saying BU Sword weren't ahead. They were only even, but approaching 30 minutes, 4,500, almost 5,000 gold up. They are now ahead. And for Indiana Tech, if they want to win this, they need to make sure they catch the carries. The problem is, what are the carries on BU Sword side, Orbital?
I honestly, everyone.
Yeah, basically. So you need to catch 4 people. Good luck with that.
It's a painful one to discuss, but it has to, as Firesong takes another rough route. This is not a good way to look. You walk right into the face of the opponents. BU Sword say thanks for the meal, serving up this mid lane on a silver platter.
Firesong gives, and Firesong takes away. Really good pull coming through, though, but James Bond on the back flag.
And it's the skies are falling again underneath the tower. BU Sword say we are also the shield. We protect our own and we take your lives. Not even a tower, not even the base will defend you now as the dragon's roar is heard. Raid Boss will fall. That is the 8th for Neon Diamond, and that is the 8th for BU Sword.
They're pushing in, looking to end. Orbital 30-second death timers on pretty much every except for KCBO. Firesong just respawned. BU Sword don't want to stick around. They're going to play this by the book. They're going to play this slow. 7,500 gold lead. Better skilling composition than Orbital. 1 minute. Watch that timer. That's Dragon. It's potential Dragon Soul for Indiana, but I think BU Sword's going to take that one.
Like, if that fight didn't exude everything that BU Sword have, I don't know what else would. Right? Like, you get 1 kill, you dive tower for about, I want to say 10 to 12 seconds, and you don't care. What did you lose? You lost 1 on the back end. That is the most illegal thing I've seen so far in this series. It is ridiculous. Well played by BU Sword to capitalize on some of these mid-game mistakes that went down. Indiana now in desperation mode. Even though this is not sole point for BU, they are hunting. Indiana are saying we don't want to give them anything more. Still level 15 on KCBO, not that level 3 collateral damage, but
Arrow lands.
Very easy to catch. Joey again saying KCBO is dead. Look at the rush. The double shields though might be able to keep you alive for a little bit longer. Nah, the scissors cut you to shreds. Bandit Boy trying to get in the mix, but the damage is already done. BU Sword, 3rd time in a row, destroy the side of Indiana.
Linus Tech Tips fan. You know what? I'm a fan of Linus Tech Tips fan right now. I'm a fan of a fan because he just cut right through all of them. BU Sword Orbital. Yeah, this one is truly game over. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Indiana Tech needed to be desperate on that play, but I understand it because you're not going to win by waiting any longer. The skilling only gets worse from here. So salute to Indiana Tech, but it is going to be BU Sword walking away with the series win.
You know, I don't think I gave it enough credit. That ending by BU Sword was one of the cleanest fights cross-map that I think we've seen. It was one that exuded their strength, and it was very necessary because it was a great series. I give a lot of credit to the side of Indiana Tech and BU Sword. They played one heck of a match. Game 1 went the way of Indiana.